Hi, my name is Greg Kanoki. I'm the Google Drive Developer Relations Technical Writer. And with me today is...
Steve Basil, who've been here before, of course.
And today we're going to talk to you about a new feature we launched for the Realtime API. We've recently added an undo and redo feature to the API that makes it really easy to implement this feature for your own applications. And I think the best way to demonstrate this is to jump right into a live demonstration on my screen. So if you'll bear with me.
Go ahead.
Yeah. OK.
Yeah.
So right now on my screen, what you can see is we have the real-time quick start that you've possibly seen before. It's part of our documentation. And I have two accounts live on the quick start. So you'll notice we have our standard text area, and at the bottom we've added these new undo and redo buttons. So if you look here, I'll type in a little bit of text here, and you can see that now the undo button has become highlighted for only one of these screens. That's because these are two separate accounts. So on the other account, you can see that undo is not active. That's because the undo button only undoes local changes. So you can see if I go back to my other account, undo a few changes, it's synchronized between both, but only one account can actually undo. Now if I go to the other account, type a little bit, you'll see that if I undo changes here, I'm still undoing only the changes made by that account. So this handles all of the complexity of what can happen with undo and redo features in a collaborative environment, but the code itself is very, very simple to implement. And if you want to see how we implemented this for this specific example, go ahead and take a look at the Google Apps Developer blog. And you can also take a look at the real-time quick start in the Drive documentation. And to show off a little bit more about this feature and how it works with more complicated operations, I'll hop over to Steve, and we'll take a look at a real-time tasks application he put together.
Yeah, so this is one of the demos that we put together with the Realtime API a few weeks back. It's based on To-Do MVC. And the difference between this and the quick start is the data model is a little bit more complicated in this one. It's a list of tasks, and tasks have statuses. And we could also do things like bulk operations, things like selecting all of the tasks and marking them completed. When we do things like that, though, we want them to be one logical operation from an undo and redo perspective. And to do that, there's part of the API in the real-time API is this notion of compound operations. And within a block of code, you can just say begin compound operation, make a whole bunch of changes, and then when you're done, say end operation. And from an undo and redo perspective, those things are then treated as a single operation on the stack. So you can see this actually if you can, for the demo, just do a select all on everything, and then try a clear completed. If we undo that, what you see is everything just gets restored. If we didn't do the compound operations, what would happen in this case is everything would get cleared in one operation, but if we tried to undo them, they would all be undone individually, which is really not what would be expected from a user perspective. So it's really easy to do. I actually just did the code for this yesterday. It took me probably about 5 minutes to add undo redo support. Probably the hardest part was figuring out where to put the buttons. But the code for this is really trivial, and you can see this on GitHub, Google Drive / real-time tasks, and just check it out. It's really, really simple. There are some weird cases with this. One of the things I want to show in the quick start is some weird cases that can happen around conflicting changes. So Greg, I think you had discovered this the other day, an interesting case where you can have an undo, which is effectively turns into a no-op.
Right. So for example, in this case, if I undo or if I type the word test in one account, delete it in the other account, and then undo those, let's see, and then retype, I'm trying to remember exact. So yeah, and then try to undo it, you'll see it takes a while before undo actually starts to do anything. That's because when trying to undo words that the one account has typed and then they've been deleted, the undo turns into a no-op. So you can't undo typing a layer that's since been deleted.
Right, and this is actually the same as even if you take out the concept of undo. If you were to type into a range in a list or a string that another collaborator deleted that range, when those changes get resolved and transformed, it's a no operation because you're deleting into an area of text that doesn't exist anymore. When those inserts or deletes are transformed, you're effectively into the same situation. So even though it's a little bit odd from a user perspective, when you start to think about how the underlying technology works and the transformations, it actually does make some sense. There's probably some things you can do to probably make this a little bit easier for users and developers. We got to maybe like fast forwarding a little bit, trying to find things that are actually undoable. But it is as it is now. It's predictable. It's consistent with the way that regular inserts work today.
Right. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in for this Google Developers Live. And if you want to see how we implement any of the code in the Quick Start or the Real-Time Tasks application, go ahead and check out our code repo on GitHub, and also look at the Google Apps developer blog and the Drive documentation.
And of course, you can always ask us questions on Stack Overflow or on the Google Drive developers community. And we're always happy to talk more about the Realtime API and, of course, hear what you're building.
All right. Well, thank you again.
All right. See you guys next week.